Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Ranking the Albums. In the co-captain's chairs today, we've got Simon Bray from the UK Connection and Mr. Martin Popoff, who has ventured out of the funhouse to join us here on a Saturday morning to rank the albums of the Stranglers. Great British band who have been around since the mid-70s. 18 or so studio albums, lots of live albums and compilations and things like that. Both Martin and Simon are going to rank their top 10. I'm going to sit this one out because I'm really only familiar with like the first two albums that I've heard. So I'll let the pros talk about this one here. So Simon's going to kick us off. We're going to go, how we're going to work this is they're each going to give two picks. So Simon's going to start with 10 and 9. Martin will do the same, and Simon will go to 8 and 7 and so on and so forth till we get to their number one. So Simon, what do you got? Good morning, guys. First of all, well, good afternoon for Simon.
Morning.
It's actually morning here. Yeah, how are things in the UK this morning or this afternoon again?
Warming up.
Yeah.
Yes, we've heard all about that. Yeah, I was looking at the weather for the next few days over there, and it's going to get high 30s, right?
One of us is leaving the country on Tuesday, so I don't know if that's good timing or not.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you're escaping just in time, right?
I'm escaping to go somewhere equally hot, yeah.
All right, Simon, what do you got for your number 10 and your number 9 for the Stranglers?
Okie dokie. I really enjoyed this. They are in my top 2 favorite bands, so I definitely enjoyed it. I found this to be absolutely agonizing. I really did. I like all eras of the band. I've probably gone for some more later stuff more than people might think. But my number 10 is the first album without Hugh Cornwell, Stranglers in the Night. Can you see what they did there? Stranglers in the Night. That's clever. That's great. It's genius, isn't it? Yes, indeed.
With the hype sticker still intact, Stephen.
But the hype sticker tells us that we're beating the recession, and it was only $9.99. Kind of like the recession that we're having now. See, things never change. They're always where they need to be. Yeah, this is the first record without Hugh Cornwell, and he was replaced by 2 people. John Ellis, who was in the Vibrators, and Paul Roberts, who desperately wants to be David Bowie. This is real. I think it's a really strong album. Starts off with "Time to Die," which sounds very much like the Shadows, very twangy guitar and a spoken kind of thing. It's got Sugar Bullets on, which is really pop music. Throughout their career, their sound has changed, and this is like relatively straightforward pop music. There's even a ballad, Heaven or Hell, which is a single which did nothing, but it's got some really strong songs on. Laughing at the Rain, Southern Mountains, Grand Canyon. It's a very, very strong record, I thought, coming back after 10, which was the album before that, the last one with Hugh Cornwell, which I thought really wasn't very good. And I've confirmed that by listening to it this week. It's produced by Roy Thomas Baker, so you think, oh, that's going to be really, oh, no. Great cover, though. Excellent cover. This is just good, solid, well-crafted songs. Yeah, whether or not it sounds like the Stranglers is entirely moot, maybe. Well, and my 9 is Feline. I'm feeling good about that choice. There we go. I've got an album as well. During the 80s, they kind of became more European sounding than anything else. You would really struggle to think that this band that made, for instance, more of this later. It's completely different sound. Bit more acoustic. The drums are completely different. Jet Black was really into his drums. Yes. But one thing about the Stranglers is that I would suggest they're one of the great singles bands. So certainly in the UK, about 9 or 10 top 10 hits. This one's got European Female on, which was a top 10 hit. Midnight Summer Dream. It's much more laid back than the early stuff. Much more laid back. It's how shall we say, it's relaxing. It's a relaxing record. It's not as like, they were very angry when they started, very angry indeed, I think, and the sound changed and became much more. I don't like much some of the 80s stuff, but this one I do dig. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I'm only familiar with their first two albums, and I mean, they're kind of like, for me, like a weird band to categorize, because they kind of have that punk vibe, but they're like also in a weird way kind of like bouncy, new wavy, right? But there's lots of good pop hooks, but the instrumentation and the keyboards are kind of at times a little proggy. So for me, I'm like, I don't know what to do with this band. To me, it's just like, it's coming from all different directions. So
yeah.
All right, Martin, what do you got for your first two?
All right. Well, I like Simon's description of relaxing, because I feel that's kind of what La Folie is all about as well. I've got this in at number 10. You know, this is the one, Steve Churchyard produced it, but Tony Visconti mixed it. And this is the big correction after The Gospel According to the Men in Black. I mean, they really wanted to make a good pop record with good recordings and pretty much conventional song structures on it. I love Nonstop, you know, good, gorgeous pop 60s new wave kind of mix that they got going there. Everybody Loves You When You're Dead. It's kind of a mellow one, but it's also a little traditional for them, which is kind of cool. It's got Golden Brown on it, which is, you know, considered pretty much their masterpiece and their biggest and most enduring song, I imagine. And I love it. I mean, I think it's a great song. So yeah, this has just a good accessible feel to it. I agree with Simon about 10. You know, 10 probably would be at the very bottom of my list for this band, but yeah, this period in here, you know, more on oral sculpture later, but Oral Sculpture, I think Feline and La Folie are of a set for me, and yeah, this is just a good quality. They mix up the speeds a bit. There's some traditional stuff, there's some ballady stuff, there's some disco beats on it a little bit. It Only Takes Two to Tango has a really cool weird rhythm to it. You know, the old French ballad thing comes in, but one of their better ones for La Folie, the title track. How to Find True Love and Happiness in the Present Day, kind of Devo-ish. So I really like how Dave Greenfield's keyboards have more of a quirky American new wave sound than much of what you would get out of the UK. It seems to me. So that's my number 10. And here's one that has fallen down my running order over the last couple of days. I had it much higher before, but I just had to start getting responsible about it. The Gospel According to the Men in Black. I mean, I love the whole packaging and the concept and you know, the Men in Black there at the Last Supper, you know, the excellent cool type styles and all that. But frankly, the best song on this album isn't even on this album. It's on The Raven. The Men in Black kind of kicks this whole thing off, and then this happens. And this is sort of the Simon, would you say this is the other big druggy album of theirs, the other big heroin album, I suppose?
It's the one where they went, okay, we're gonna do some weird shit. Yeah. So yeah.
And you know, I was playing it on my walk, you know, to the house yesterday, and essentially there are no hi-hats or cymbals until the 6th track on the album. Let's see if I got my, do I have my CD copy here? Yeah, it's easier to look at the tracks. Yeah, 2 Sunspots and 4 Horsemen's first time. And even when you do hear any hi-hats or cymbals, it's very treated and very sparse. So mostly it's really clunky sort of tribal beats, some instrumental stuff, quite a bit of electronics. The guitars are mixed way back. You know, it's ostensibly, well, it is a concept album, but it is quite unlistenable. You know, Just Like Nothing on Earth is pretty cool, and Two Sunspots and Waltz in Black is cool, but it's and Waiting for the Men in Black, but they're, yeah, almost nothing is very accessible on this. This is like the cool, murky, obscure choice. And yeah, I did have it higher, but I figured I had to be responsible and knock it down. It was a big disappointment after the Raven.
All right, back to Simon. 10-7. I mean 8 and 7.
That said, there is nothing quite as exciting as the lights going down and Waltz in Black playing before they come on. That's just yeah. Also, the single off that album, Thrown Away, Stranglers Do Disco. Yeah, it's got to be heard to be believed. I really like it. However, that album's nowhere to be seen on my choice. My next choice, which must be 8, is Dreamtime. Yes, Dreamtime. Look at it's got the world's greatest single on, Always the Sun, which everyone thinks is a massive hit, but made it all the way to about number 29 here in the UK. It's the one for me where they went through a period where they thought, yeah, let's get some horns in. Yeah, that'll add to the. Yeah. This is the one where it works for me. Other places it doesn't. But like I say, it's got Always the Sun on, Dreamtime. They're quite good at being weird. That's that's very much kind of their thing. Yeah, it's got Nicey Neeson, which is a big hit single. They really did churn out the hits for probably about 12, 13 years. Shaking Like a Leaf wasn't a hit, but was a single. Mayan Skies, again, there doesn't sound much like they did 4 or 5 years previously. And that is arguably the beauty of the band, that they definitely have a kind of chameleon-like like quality. Yeah, but what they do have, and it's almost always there, is that they've got the bass is almost the lead instrument, and the keyboard is almost the lead instrument. They've got 2 absolute virtuosos in the squad, as it were, and this was a not particularly big selling album, but it's where I first saw them on tour, so it holds special place in my heart. But the starting off with Always the Sun, Dreamtime, and Was It You, just excellent, really excellent. But yeah, mine's not signed, by the way. Just saying. Yeah.
Simon, what would you say was their like peak years as far as like commercial sales of albums and singles? You mentioned like a 12 or 13 year period. So what exactly, like what years did that cover, would you say?
The really big hits were probably 77 to 82.
Okay.
Yeah, from the first hit was Go Buddy Go, which reached about number 40, and then Peaches and Other Things reached the top 10, and then they kind of peaked with Golden Brown in 81, 82, and that made number 2 for what seemed like years.
But Simon, in America, this was probably the biggest one, right? With Always the Sun was a big deal. I mean, there was some excitement over here, America and Canada, with this album. I think the most, and I always associate this with the excitement around Midnight Oil with their 2 big albums because of the whole, Australian Dreamtime thing. And it was the same time. You had, what was it? Diesel and Dust. And then you had Blue Sky Mining, right? Those 2 records were kind of a big deal. And it corresponded with this. And I thought there were videos and things from this that were getting played on MTV. So I over here, I think it was this album.
Yeah, entirely possible. But they never really commercially kind of kicked on from Golden Brown. And I'm going to talk about La Folie fairly shortly, because what do you do when you are the biggest hit single of your entire career? You follow it up with a 7-minute dirge in French, don't you? In many ways, wasn't the best idea they've ever had. But they are and always have been quite willful. So, they made that choice, and, yeah. Anyway, moving on to 7. This is a signed copy. Yes. This is About Time from 1995, I think. I think this is one of the ones that get lost in the shuffle, because the 90s were a bit of a fallow period for the band. Jean-Jacques Burnel kind of lost interest for. He was like a bit like Gene Simmons lost interest with Kiss. Jean-Jacques Burnel lost interest and only really regained some form of interest a little bit later. But this, like Stranglers in the Night, is a really excellent pop record. It includes the only track apparently ever written by Jet Black, Lies and Deception. And this is one of those albums, and I know I say this a lot, but gives me a time and a place. I used to play this all the time. When this came out, all the time, because I don't know if I've ever mentioned before, I really loathed the 1990s. But this,
I think
I played all the time. It's one of those albums, and there's not that many albums in my where I can sing every line with that film. And I think this is where Paul Roberts probably gave his best performance for me, even better than Norfolk Coast. Sinister kind of sounds sinister, or as he says, sinister, because he definitely wants to be David Bowie. Golden Boy, Money, Faces, just an excellent record. Again, doesn't sound much like the first two at all. I don't know anybody else, however, that really likes this album except for me. They don't play anything off it. Yeah, and also Still Life is very much in my top 3 Stranglers songs.
Sometimes it's all a matter of when an album hits you, right? You know,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Also, weirdly enough, as you can see, I got this signed. Went to meet them, got it signed, even though the album came somewhere with a signed postcard. So I got it signed twice.
There you go. Hey, 2 is better than 1, right?
That's my level of commitment.
Yeah.
All right, back to Martin.
Okay, so for number 8, I went with Norfolk Coast. This is sort of the comeback album into the the Sonic Boom and Monster and Heart doing all those other, doing sort of more what was expected, a little bit more meat and potatoes, and you've got the you've got the quality and the listenability of those of that trilogy, so to speak, that I mentioned earlier. But this is the crossover album, first in 6 years. You've got Paul Roberts and Baz on this. I just really I like the whole first half of it the most. I mean, I really like the title track, Norfolk Coast. I've Been Wild, not so much Dutch Moon. I really like Long Black Veil, good passionate sort of melodies on that. So yeah, this is just a good quality, more or less go back to the roots, but it's also very accessible. I got to sit down and interview JJ and Baz for this when they came to Toronto. I mean, they didn't come here very often, so I didn't see them very much. And this was the only time I ever had an in-person meeting with them, but cool album cover too. But so that's my number 8. I went with Oral Sculpture for number 7. Where's my vinyl of that here? There's the vinyl. Don't really like this album cover. This is more like a Storm Thorgerson type look to it. But I really do like the songs on here. Ice Queen, Skin Deep, those were both fairly well-known songs. Let Me Down Easy was fairly well-known as well. I love North Winds on this. Not so much Punch and Judy. I like Spain. Yeah, pretty cool album. And again, I think it's almost like during this period and during most of the periods, frankly, I mean, they have their 5 or 6 gears that they do, and some of it rubs you the wrong way and some of it doesn't. And usually it's because of melody or lack of melody or repetitious or annoying melody, which can happen with the Stranglers. But I think with this one, you just hear a lot of those easy drinking, easy listening, good solid melodies, good songwriting on this record. So that's my number 7.
Cool. All right, back to Simon.
Okay, my 6.
Yes.
Numbers aren't my strong point. Yeah, my 6 is La Folie. As Martin has already mentioned, this is a really strong album, and it's become stronger over the last little while whilst we've been prepping this. I think I have something against this album because it's got Golden Brown on it. Now, when Golden Brown came out, I thought, oh, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard. It's fantastic. Wow, look at that. It's in a weird time signature. It's got a harpsichord on it. And then it got played more than you can imagine over it. And like I said, it was in the charts for ages. And just when I go and see the Stranglers, halfway through, they play Golden Brown, I go to the toilet.
Time for a pee break.
Yeah. And yeah, when I've been listening, and I've listened to all their albums, it is a great song. It's a really great song. There's nothing like it.
Simon, it's added to as the first track on the US issue of Feline, right? I mean, is it? There we go. That's a vinyl of Feline, right?
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Mm.
So, it got done kind of twice, right? So
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I was unaware of that. Yeah. It, as Martin said, it non-stop. She's a non-stop nun. Really, that's excellent. Everybody Loves You When You're Dead. Tramp's a magnificent song. I love the way it built that builds. And let me introduce you to the family as well. The bit towards the end when the trance falls upwards and the keyboards come out, just fantastic. Flop single, mine, but there you go. The man they love to hate. It's really quirky. Golden Brown's hidden on side 2, which is interesting because these days all the good shit's loaded up early doors, isn't it?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, but back in the past, bands made albums that were supposed to be listened to that had a flow and stuff, and it sits perfectly just after It Only Takes Two to Tango and just before How to Find True Love and Happiness. And the album does finish with La Folie, which is very long in French and definitely never ever hit single material. Yeah, but it's a really cool song and a very strong album. Don't like the cover though. Just want to put.
Yeah.
So was that album and Feline album, were they released in succession, like one after the other? I'm just trying to figure out the inclusion of the hit single.
Yeah, La Folie came first.
Okay.
Yeah, 82.
And was that song, Martin, was that song on the US version of La Folie?
I think so. I have a CD of it. I don't have a vinyl of La Folie on. I believe.
I'm wondering, because it became such a big hit and it didn't do anything here, that they said, well, we'll put it on the next album too, in hopes that it catches on.
Yeah.
They left the record company around about 82 and produced the collection 1977 to 82, which does have Golden Brown on, and then they gave the record company Strange Little Girl as a kind of leaving present because they had to. So, and then the other 80s albums came along, as it were. So I'm completely stunned that Golden Brown is on the US version of Feeling. Yeah,
Stranger Things have happened. It's like a Sweet thing all over again. Sweet always had all these different track configurations, UK and US releases and whatnot.
Opening track too.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's a statement right there, right? It's like, you didn't catch this song the first time around, you better catch it now, right?
Yeah, it's a completely mellow drumless song. Well, no, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, well, apparently Jean-Jacques Benel's not on it either. So, yeah, my number, whatever, five, yeah, is the most recent one, Dark Matters. This is so good. This is just so very, very good.
Very cool cover too.
Very cool. Very cool. Not sure which one's supposed to be who, but yeah, it's really just so good. It's exactly what you'd want from a what better term, heritage act. You know, exactly what you want. It sounds like the Stranglers. It sounds like it could be the same band from 40 years ago. It's almost as if quite a lot of the intervening period, certainly the 90s, you know, didn't exist. I think some people think that would be better if they didn't, but that's not true. Yeah, I think this is where From Norfolk Coast. That's where this is the album they've been building up to make. They're all good from Norfolk Coast. So this is just excellent. Water, about the Arab Spring. That's good. This song. Have you seen the video for that? Anyone?
No, I didn't think they made. I was looking for the videos. I know they did a video for what's his name, this song, right? That was, I guess, the first video, right?
That's what I'm referring to.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes, yeah, that's a cool video. Yeah.
Which footballer, Pete? Footballer, former England footballer Stuart Pearce does parkour. It's very, very well edited. You could almost think that nearly 60-year-old Stuart Pearce was actually doing it, but it's really, really cool. And if you should see Dave, oh my God, that is so awesome. Yeah. I'm fairly confident I'm not the only person. There's a line in that song. It's about Dave Greenfield, who died during the recording of the song. There's a line in the song that goes, "This is where your solo would go." And then there's no keyboard solo. It's the only Stranglers song without a keyboard solo. And first time I heard that one, oh. Seriously, it's really, really, really sad. Very, very sad, but just a really, really great song and a really, really strong album. Payday's great. Last Man on the Moon's great. Down, it must be good because my son told me the other day that it was, and I quote, fucking shit. When I was playing it in the car, fucking depressing, isn't it? Well, I don't think so, and I also don't care. So everyone's a winner on this album. Everyone without fail. And if this is their swan song, and it might be, they've really, really gone out on a high.
Wait, was that 2021, Simon, or 2020?
2021.
Yeah, I thought so.
And made number 4 in the UK charts.
All right, back to Martin.
Okay, so my number 6, I'm going with the debut, Radus Norvegicus, or 4. And then confusingly in Canada, we had that semi-compilation called 4 that came out, right? So this is them basically coming fully formed with their sound. I mean, I think it's a sound that lasts solidly for the first 3 albums, but they do come with the sound. But I'm really irritated by the drum sound on this. I don't like Jet's bass drum sound or snare on this. It's got some great songs. You know, I've never been a big Peaches fan. I find it a little sing-songy, but I do like Grip. I love Sometimes. I love Hanging Around, like good, heavy, gnarly. The cool thing about Stranglers is they kind of invented post-punk immediately during punk, before post-punk became a thing, which is more like 78, 70, 79, where you get a lot of a preponderance of big, gnarly bass sounds and bass lines and bass being played nakedly while other things do other things. And that's here immediately, but I really don't like Princess of the Streets, the kind of bluesy song on here. So I find it a little bit patchy. I prefer the next 2 albums quite a bit more. But yeah, completely coming formed with their sound. They didn't fit in punk. I guess the Jam didn't fit in punk either at this time, even though we're now in really the first year of the punk albums coming out. So in a sense, you had, I would say, the Stranglers and the Jam as 2 big famous bands who immediately weren't even doing punk. But the cool thing about this, as opposed to the Jam, is they were really laying the groundwork for post-punk. not new wave, not American new wave or anything like that, but all that stuff that was big on bass. So yeah, pretty cool album, but I just find it a little patchy. I'm more for the next ones. My number 5 is yeah, that was 6. So my number 5 is Giants, and I would say, you know, this record again is the first where it is. This is just the foursome. I really like Freedom is Insane. Yeah, disc 2 is the live disc we got on here. Yeah. Giants is very cool, very, you know, that low vocal. I mean, both of these vocalists that came after Hugh, you know, they did a very smart thing, I think, in the Stranglers, where they all sound pretty much similar. I mean, they didn't say let's hire someone that sounds completely different than Hugh, kind of thing. I love Lowlands, punky fast with that cool hiccup beat on it. That's my favorite one on the album. When they do that, where they do that dropping a beat thing and being a little proggy, that's always really cool because they can do it so smoothly. And then yeah, of course you've got the, you know, the crazy zombie eyes thing that goes on with them there, and yeah, that great album cover. So yeah, I'm into this later period a lot. I think, like I say, it's for the same reasons I'm into, you know, recent Deep Purple and recent Kiss, and these bands that kind of pick the very best of what they used to do and have infused it into what they're doing. I think Baz is just an excellent fit into the band. I love him in there. So yeah, pretty cool. I mean, there's a few things I'm not crazy about on here. I don't like My Fickle Resolve or Boom Boom. I don't like when they do. Usually I don't like when they do the mellow French Parisienne, you know, torch song thing or any sort of shuffles. I'm not crazy into that, but I do like 15 Steps at the end. That's fast. And even though it is kind of shuffly, it's kind of got a spaghetti Western sort of vibe to it. So yeah, Giants is my number. So I just did 6 and 5. There you go.
Cool. All right, Simon, 4 and 3.
Just before 4 and 3, and just to show off because I can, my version of Giants is the one that came with the recordings from The Weekend in Black, which is the Stranglers convention in London in 2011. I merely point out that I'm on it. You know, I was in the crowd, so ergo, you know, some of that noise must be me. Just must be. But you know, when you're thinking about moments when you see a band. They played Black and White from front to back, and then the other songs that were around that time that weren't on albums, like Mean to Me. And when they played Shut Up, I nearly lost my shit. It was like one. I think it was the first time they ever actually played it live. It was just absolutely tremendous. Let's just put that to one side, because my 4 is the Raven. That's super cool.
Yeah.
Terrifying. When you're 12 and you're just getting into it, I think, oh Christ, look at that. and then you listen to it, and there's some really odd stuff in there. You can kind of see, you know that the Gospel according to Men in Black is on its way, because they were doing some really weird shit. Sha Sha Go Go, which opens side 2, starts with like a call to prayer or something like that, and then Don't Bring Harry. That's definitely drug related. Don't need him around. But Duchess, to me, that's one of the greatest singles of all time. Reached number 14 in the UK. Brilliant. And then Men in Black. Shall we speed it up? Shall we slow it down? What shall we do? Like, just really, for certainly 12-year-old me, really inventive. Really, whoa! What do they do? Why is that so squeaky? Why is it so slow? Whoa! Playing around with conventions always works for me. And Genetics, because early doors, Dave Greenfield sang on every album, at least one song, then kind of stopped. But that's not to say that side 1 isn't great either. It's got the title track, Dead Los Angeles, Baroque Bordello, and Nuclear Device, which is just a monumentally great song. Released as a single, but just far too weird for mainstream success, I would suggest. yeah, it's really, really great album. It's very much stood the test of time, as has Black and White. As Martin says, they were inventing post-punk as they went along. They really were, and it's got a black side and it's got a white side. Can you see what they did there? Yeah. Just side one is just magnificent. Tank, it's fast, it's aggressive, nice and sleazy. Well, keyboards just go berserk, just everywhere. Pick a sound, any sound, it's gonna turn up any second now. Rise of the Robots, Sweden. Somewhere I've got that version in of them singing it in Swedish. It's tremendous. Toiler on the Sea. Isn't that to blame for the band Flock of Seagulls name?
I don't remember.
Yeah, and side two is just like dark. There's some seriously dark shit on there. In the Shadows. Whoa. Yeah, if you are walking along the streets at night and you're listening to that, you're certainly keeping your wits about you because you're thinking something's going to happen. Yeah, do you wanna? Not really. Wow, just really, really dark and really more than most bands of their supposed ilk, because they were a bit too old to be punked, to be brutally honest, and they could play properly. Not that old punks can't actually play, but they could play properly, and really inventive band for selling first 5 albums. So much to say and so many different ways to say it, and just a great record that only really made sense to me, probably 20 years after it came out, and that's the sign of a good record, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's my 4 and 3.
All right, Martin.
Okay, my let's see, let's find a chunk of vinyl of this thing or a CD or something. So it's 4 and 3 now, right?
Yep.
No More Heroes. So this is the second album, and I think basically all the good ideas from the first album are made sharper. The production's better. There's more bite to the drums on this record. I feel like A Wog kicks it off with just sort of the aggressive, the bass and the the urgent drumming. Very cool. Bitching is really nice on this. Again, it's got loads of melody. I think it's the strongest melody from the first 2 albums as a set. And then the second best for melody would be Dagenham Dave. That's really cool. Bring On the Nubiles was a pretty big song. Something Better Change. We're back to the pop, so we got some more good pop melody. I think basically there's way more hooks on this. It's slightly more inventive and slightly more dedicated to the post-punk idea, and the production is better. And I think even the performances are sprightlier on this record. No More Heroes is like a good, heavy, dark, menacing one, malevolent one on there. Whatever happened to Trotsky and all that sort of stuff. And Peasant in the Big Shitty is also a really cool one. Just a little more experimental. Yeah, just a really sort of artistic, creative, fearless, moving along, evolving this thing that was already unique anyways, and doing it very soon. And now we're into really when post-punk is starting to happen, and we can basically thank the Stranglers for it. And what a great album cover. Such a cool album cover. So yeah, that's 4. 3 is where's my copy here? Black and White, which I think just turns it up even more. I think what you get on this is even better production. And in terms of songs, I love Tank, but Nice and Sleazy is probably the greatest example of that main thing that the Stranglers do, and here it is done best with the big swooping bass lines, and the best version, better than Peaches when it comes to that slight infusion of reggae. I mean, here it's just way more entertaining and way more catchy. So yeah, Nice and Sleazy is a great song. Outside Tokyo's got that hiccup beat, and it reminds me a little bit of What's to Come on the Raven on there. Sweden is really cool. All the clouds are interesting and all that sort of stuff, like some really great lines right in there. And Curfew, as Simon said, side two is pretty dark in the shadows. Is even though it's kind of shuffling, the music doesn't really go anywhere, but it's got this kind of cool atmosphere to it. So yeah, this is just yeah, I'm not crazy about Hey Rise of the Robots. You know, it's punky, a little atonal. Toiler on the Sea is really cool. Again, just they're just being very kind of obscure and lyrical and not out to please anybody. You know, they very often are not very hooky, and that's kind of a cool thing as well. So it gives you those peaks and valleys. But I just feel like this is the best of that trilogy. That, you know, I mean, more on what comes later, but I think those first three fit together the best, and it's a complete you know, evolution in the right direction across those first three.
Cool.
So 2 and 1 for me, and do you know what? It changes every day. So I'm going to hold them both up together. Astonishingly, No More Heroes, Rattus, and Black and White all came out within roughly a year of each other. That is some burst of creativity, isn't it? Yeah. Really, it just, you know, when bands these days take like 7 years between albums, I mean, look at that. And you know, the first 5 all came out within 4 or 5 years. Just astonishing, really is. For today, we'll have this at number 2. They still play practically all these songs live. That's the longevity of this album. This is obviously the one I gave to you for album homework, Peter. I gave you it because it's one of my favorite records. I like all of it. I really, but Down in the Sewer is monumental. It's absolutely monumental. It's probably as close to prog as I ever get. You know,
I think when I talked about that album, I mentioned that song about how it's pretty damn close to prog, I think.
Yeah, it's like Martin said, they've turned up fully formed. Now, admittedly, they were all about 50 when they started. That's not quite true, but they were older than the others, and they've turned up fully formed. It's just from front to back, from sometimes all the way to the end of Rats Rally, just excellent, really. I even like Princess of the Streets. I'm just saying. Peaches, I'm less keen on. I've never really liked Peaches. Really hated it when they had the brass section with them for that period towards you Cornwall leaving. Really loathed that. But Get a Grip on Yourself's fantastic. Hanging Around is just brilliant. You know, and again, when you're there and you're watching the Stranglers and the keyboard just goes and then the guitar comes in and it builds. It's just really, it's like proper music, you know what I mean? It's like they know what they're doing. They know how to build it. I know you don't really like the sound on this watch. I just think it's absolutely brilliant. And the keyboard player had a mustache at the height of punk. What can be more punk than to have a tash and you know, pretty long hair at that time period? Just none more punk, to be fair. But just for today, No More Heroes is my number 1. You wouldn't get away with this lyrical content these days. You really would. But you understand what they meant by I Feel Like a Log. It's that sense that I'm an outsider. I'm being treated like an outsider. Not everybody read it in that way. Yeah. Bitchin' is awesome. Dead Ringer. That we're back in that kind of reggae territory again. Bring on the New Bells. Really? Yeah. They have been accused more than once of writing misogynistic lyrics, and Bring on the New Bells. It is very much what it is. Something Better Change is, like Martin said, a great pop song. I think, as I recall, it came out as a single with Straighten Out as a double A side. Do you remember them kids? Double A sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That song's like a pop song that a punk band would do, right?
Yeah. I've got 2 copies of it on swirly pink and white vinyl. Yeah, just saying. Peasant in the Big Shitty. Oh, a song with swear words in. Yay! That really appealed to me when I was younger. English Towns, School Mom. They're all there's definitely that sense of trying to think of a better word than creepiness. That kind of sense of danger about their early work. And again, to me, really stands the test of time. And there was a point in my life, rather like you, Cornwall, I thought, yeah, wearing a shoelace around your neck is the coolest thing you can possibly do. So yeah, that's my number 1 for today. Tomorrow it'll probably be Ratus, but the classic albums both. Cool.
Okay, my number 2, I went for Dark Matters. Love it to death. Play it all the time. I think Water is got to be in my top 5 Strangler songs of all time. I love this song as well, and yeah, that video makes it just even better. It's just a straightforward punk song. It's not really or an American power punk song, maybe a pop punk song a little bit. I mean, although it is fairly punky as well, but it's something that the Stranglers definitely really didn't do a lot. And
it's
yeah,
a rewrite, isn't it?
What's that?
It's a rewrite. Is slash cover is this song, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, somebody I've never heard of. But yeah.
What's it say for the credit?
I'll be with you in a second. Matthew Seamarks. Who?
No, I don't know who that is. Huh. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Love No Man's Land on here as well, which is kind of proggy and thorny. That's a cool one. Yeah. And The Lines is a straight acoustic song with some great lines. You know, it's like the lines on my face. This one's from my divorce. This one's from drinking. This one's from, you know, my kids getting their first car and heading out in the car. It's a beautiful, beautiful song. You know, it's got one of those Parisian sort of smoky ballads on here in Down. But I really like Last Man on the Moon. That's old school and creepy poppy that they do as well. But it's just got some really, really solid songs all the way through. You know, when I go back to Norfolk Coast or Giants, you know, I do find 3, 4, 5 songs that are not in a direction that I really want to hear, and I don't hear that on this album at all. And this is another one I got to interview JJ for, so I kind of got the explanation of these songs, which always kind of helps as well. Pretty cool. But yeah, just a lot of highlights across this album. And my number 1 is The Raven. I knew this would be number 1 from the start. My number 1 and my number 2 are separated as we go down. But everything on this, as I've said before when we did this creepiest, scariest albums of all time episode, Pete, that we did, this is always on my list for that because I don't see anything on this album as poppy or even traditional Stranglers in a way. To me, this is the second outlier. You know, Men in Black, Gospel According to Men in Black is the biggest outlier. But to me, this literally, to me, for some reason, sounds like a completely different band. As I said, this is almost like an occult talisman with songs like The Raven, especially, and Don't Bring Harry. Creepiest thing they ever did. I mean, The Raven's super, super creepy too. And you know, the whole Viking thing. When I was a Viking, my friend, he was the Raven, all that kind of stuff. But even the ones that are a little, you could almost see them as a little sing-songy and tribal and silly, like Sha Sha A Go Go, or maybe even Duchess with the kind of complicated beat on it, a little more melody there. I just can't see anything on this album other than completely satanic. I mean, literally every single song on here just fits into this. Almost feels more conceptual than the Gospel According to Men in Black for me, and yet the the subjects are all over the place. We've got Iran, we've got Australia, we've got Los Angeles, the opening Longships, which is probably my favorite instrumental by them. Everything on this is so cool. Nuclear Device, as Simon mentioned, is just so catchy and infectious with that whole rising chorus that it has on it. Barack Bordello, also very, very scary and heroin-y and opium-y kind of feeling. And yeah, that album cover just scared the bejesus out of me as a kid too when I got this, right? So cool. And yeah, this album cover comes also in a lenticular, right?
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
But mine's just a UK normal one. So yeah, that's by far and away my number one. And yeah, I almost feel like it's a completely different band from all the other ones. I can't relate that record to anything they did. So
cool. So there we have it, everybody. Top 10 from the Stranglers. Nice little mix of stuff in both of your lists, which I think was cool. I think a good chunk of the catalog was or a good, all the eras kind of were covered for the most part. So pretty cool. So thanks for Simon and for Martin for doing the homework and putting these lists together. For all you Stranglers fans watching, please list your 10 favorite Stranglers albums in the comments below. And for those of you like myself who really haven't discovered much of the Stranglers catalog, hopefully this episode will give you a little bit of incentive to go out and listen to some of these albums. So thanks for watching, everybody. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, all together, all the damn time. Stay tuned, things coming up on the channel. In just a couple hours, we've got the UK Connection, featuring Simon and myself and Stephen Reed, talking about our favorite and least favorite Deep Purple albums. So that's coming up in just a few hours. We've got album homework assignment tomorrow. That is actually going to be the series finale. It's the last, for now anyway, the last album homework assignment show we're going to be doing for a while. So stay tuned for that. We've got Stephen Reed and Davey Gallagher, our two Scotsmen on the channel, going head to head. And then Monday we kick off with the Hudson Valley Squares. So thanks for watching, everybody. For Simon Bray and Stephen Reed, I am Pete Pardo. Have a good weekend. Take care.